Hello everyone and a very warm welcome to this week's Everton show. On tonight's programme we welcome 4 members of Portugal's 1966 World Cup squad. We count down to the final appearance in an Everton shirt of Tim Howard, and we feature the Academy Awards evening which took place on Monday night. And of course, with no little reluctance, we'll also be talking football with our special guest this week, Ian Snowden. Only one place to start, Snods. You and I knew Roberto personally, know Roberto personally, and it was a sad day.
It was a sad day. I know the results haven't been right, as for the last few weeks, and fans become a little bit disgruntled. But overall, Roberto was a great man. Great to the ambassadors, great to you lads. But I'm afraid time had come really. I thought the chairman had given him enough time. The chairman hoped Roberto could turn it round, and he kept waiting and waiting, but obviously we didn't, and it is a sad day.
The chairman will have made that decision with a very, very heavy heart because he's up there with the most loyal men in football.
Yeah, he is. The chairman's, he's worked with David Moyes for all them number of years. I know there were a couple of seasons where you're thinking David could have perhaps got the sack, but the chairman kept with him. And I think that's what we were hoping with Roberto, that Roberto could have turned it round, but wasn't to be, and unfortunately the chairman had no choice in the end.
We'll see Roberto back at another club, won't we?
Definitely, definitely. I think he's got a lot to offer to many football clubs. I know we really enjoyed the first season he were here. It was new to our supporters, the style he played, and I think we quite enjoyed it. But unfortunately, the last couple of seasons have not gone right.
We'll miss him, but we all wish him well. Well, it's the last week of the season, isn't it? It seems to have been a long haul at times, doesn't it? But this is what we've got for you on this week's Everton show.
So I'm glad that I've shared a lot of fun memories with Tim. Hope he's had a few decent ones as well with me, and it's going to be a bit of an emotional time after the game, but you know, wish him good luck with his future career.
I think I scored 22 goals in 20 weeks in the reserves, and Labby used to come in the dressing room and says, "How'd you go, lads?" And they say 1-2-0. I say, "Well, who got the other one then?"
I'm sure during it all, you know, the finality of it will hit me. But again, I'm hoping that you know, I can end on a high note.
Well, you couldn't have had 2 more contrasting moods after the final whistle at the Stadium of Light on Wednesday evening. The Sunderland fans were delirious at having not only secured their own Premier League status, but they also dumped their nearest and most fierce rivals back into the Championship. The travelling Toffees. Well, it was another night of frustration and disappointment, as it was for Roberto.
Well, I think it was a game where Sunderland were very, very efficient in front of goal. Sometimes by merit, they had a real intent, and sometimes by a little bit of luck. I think the first goal is disappointing. I think we started the game really, really well, and slowly we lost that forward play, and we kept the ball well, but without going anywhere, and that brought a little bit of created a little bit of our own problems, allowed Sunderland to press us, and maybe a free kick that it shouldn't be ends up in the back of the net, and then 2 corners, and the scoreline is too big to reflect what happened on the pitch. But we kept fighting. In the second half we changed tactically a little bit just to get a bit bodies around Rom and to get a little bit higher up the pitch. We created better chances, but even then we hit the crossbar, or the goalkeeper was with a very good moment of form, and I don't think the scoreline reflects what happened in the game, but clearly I think the efficiency of Sunderland in front of goal today was the big difference.
Snods, we obviously didn't know at the time that was Roberto's last interview as Everton manager. The performance at Sunderland was slightly better than Leicester, but still not good enough.
No, I thought the first 20 minutes, as we kept the ball, we made Sunderland work, who came out of the traps, which you would expect. They had a boisterous crowd behind them, and they closed us down really quickly. But I thought we used the ball well without really hurting Sunderland in the last third. We kept the ball well, but then I'm not sure whether it was a free kick that caused the first goal, but that first goal will have disappointed Joel in the Everton goal, and then a quick goal after that, the second one, more or less killed the game at half-time. The second half we came out and they got the third goal, and then I thought we struggled a little bit. We had a couple of chances, but yeah, I think Sunderland well deserved the victory.
Thoroughly disappointing night. Right, let's move away from the football pitch now and into the magnificent St George's Hall. The iconic Liverpool City Centre building was the venue for the Everton Academy Awards event on Monday night, when we celebrated all that is good about the players and the staff of our youth system. Here's just a flavour of what was a terrific evening.
I thought it was absolutely terrific. I thought this venue was absolutely beautiful. And I thought the attendance from parents and staff and the athletes themselves was just a tribute to what this club is all about. I thought it was a great evening.
4 recent debutants here tonight and up on stage as well. It's a massive inspiration to the young lads in the group, isn't it?
It absolutely is, and I think that's one of the things that Everton has continued to demonstrate, this commitment of a viable pathway of bringing athletes through their system. And if that's not better living proof of exactly that, then I can't think of any.
Kieran, the winner of the Tony Heslop Award, how proud are you of that?
Definitely, yeah, to be chosen as the first winner. It's, and then there's going to be many more to come, so I'll always be on the name. It's a great honour again, yeah.
A nice way to round off the season after a very successful one for yourself.
Defo, yeah. Not over yet. I don't really want it to end, to be honest. But yeah, great way to end the season. The Academy Awards, always a great event.
As you say, always a massive event here at St George's Hall. Another good night had by all.
Defo, yeah. You see all the kids enjoying themselves, all the goals and that. It's been a really good night, yeah.
Tom, you won the Keith Tamlin Award tonight. Just how proud a moment was that for you?
Yeah, it was a great moment. I'm really proud to win the award, and it means a lot to show that my hard work's being recognised.
Obviously, looking at that award, it caps off a great year for yourself, doesn't it?
Yeah. Been a great year in me, one of the best in me footballing career. So hopefully, it can only get better from here.
Trips away with England and a first team debut as well. What's been the main highlight for yourself?
It's got to be the debut. It's something that I've dreamed of, and hopefully I can do it again and keep doing it, really.
As you mentioned up on stage, it's not the aim just to be up there with the best, it's the aim to be the best, isn't it?
Well, that is the ambition, and that takes a lot of time, and those words mean something very real, and so it can't just be hyperbole and saying that this makes a difference or that's where we want to be. It's not about gadgets or having the best facility in the world or the best kit. It is about helping these young players develop to their fullest capacity and ultimately making them so unbelievably exceptional at what they do that the world can't deny, their opportunities to play the game.
Snodge, you and I were at the Academy Awards event, and it was a terrific night, wasn't it?
Yeah, defo, as Kieran had said. But no, it was a fantastic evening, and it's great to see the lads getting recognised with first team performances. So fantastic night.
Nice to recognise the staff at Finch Farm as well, who do such a terrific job. Well, one of the highlights of the Academy Awards night was their goal of the season. There were some absolute corkers for David Unsworth to pick a winner from, and we've got them all for you right now. Just look at these and see if you can pick a winner.
I live my day as if it was the last. Live my day as if there was no past. Doing it all night, all summer. Doing it the way I wanna. Yeah, I'ma dance my heart out till the dawn, but I won't be done when morning comes. Doing it all night, all summer. Gonna spend it like no other. It was a crush, but I couldn't get enough. It was a rush, but I gave it up. It was a crush. Now I might have wanna said too much, but that's all it was. So I gave it up. I live my day
It's not the eventual winner, as picked by David Unsworth, was little Anthony Gorst, the under-9, who backheeled it in, but there was some smashing goals there.
There were some great goals, to be honest, but I think Unzi got it right. I thought it was a terrific flick from the young lad, and to see his smiling face when he came on that stage, and he got a roar as well from quite a few of the parents on the far side. So yeah, delighted young man and a great finish.
Some great technical skill there from the boys.
There were some terrific goals. Just reminded me of me in my prime.
Yeah. Which one of your 7? What a lovely way to end part 1 of this week's show. Well, after the break, we've got a lovely piece of nostalgia for you when we feature the return to Goodison Park of 4 Portuguese international footballers who last visited the place when they played there in the 1966 World Cup. Welcome back to part 2 of this week's programme. Now, we've made it our aim to bring you coverage of all things Everton from all different angles this season, and we're about to continue that now with something quite unique. We know that this season is the 50th anniversary of our 1966 FA Cup victory, and we'll be hearing from Mike Trebilcock, by the way, in our big interview a little bit later. But 1966, of course, was also the year when Goodison Park hosted several World Cup games during England's glorious summer. In particular, the Portuguese national team thoroughly enjoyed their time at Goodison, beating Pele's Brazil in the group stage before beating Dark Horse's North Korea 5-3 in the quarter-finals. So it was an emotional visit to Goodison when 4 of that side from 66 returned to the Grand Old Lady earlier this season.
I had a good game. To be able to mark him, I had to concentrate a lot. I had done that in the past against him, but in this game it was more visible because it was the World Cup. I recognised that I did a good job in that game, and I am happy that the world recognised it too. I wasn't thinking about doing anything differently because it was Pele. It was about keeping my concentration and being very aware of his quick movements. I kept calm and concentrated on him, even when he didn't have the ball, and tried to anticipate when he would make his move. Brazil were a very strong team. 4 years before, they were champions. They came here with that status. We had to start the game with a lot of concentration. We were not afraid of them, but we did respect Brazil. When you play against big teams, you increase your concentration, your responsibility. We knew the Brazilian players very well. We had already played against them. I felt that that game was our moment. We did everything we could to beat them that time.
And the Portuguese are really in the most desperate trouble. Well, this is ridiculous. The Portuguese are torn apart. 3-0. Eusebio going through, and there is Eusebio given too much time.
I remember very well, especially against North Korea, when this team surprises Portugal after we beat Brazil. There was a lot of expectation because Portugal at that moment was playing very good football. And we came here with these people that has the culture of the game, that they have the appreciation of the quality of the players and the football. That everybody was surprised, 3-0. So all in all said, we are facing the enthusiasm of the crowd pushing North Korea. So then 3-1, 3-2, and came 5-3. All in all said, things change. I see the crowd pushing for Portugal. So that represents and gives the image that the people knows very well what's going on the pitch. So it's a very special moment to have that appreciation with a good victory.
And that good victory was inspired by Eusebio, 4 goals. I mean, it must have been an absolute pleasure playing alongside one of the legends of the game.
Exactly, yeah. Everything we can say about Eusebio, to give him compliments, to recognize his fantastic capacity to play the game, to understand the game, never is too much. Talk about Eusebio, it's a privilege. Play with them is more than that. It was a very special moment to have the privilege to play with this guy and be recognized by him that I could understand him, I could be in a level, intelligence level, to pass him the ball. So I'm a privileged man. Yeah, I was a very privileged player to have the opportunity to play one of the best players in the world.
You notice how he hit that with the outside of his right foot. It swerved and bankside all the way. Great save by that. 5 minute running by Hurst, back to Charlton. This could be it, it is! And that could be the goal that puts England in the final.
I remember him, my size, running all over the place. He had a very good moment in that World Cup. He was one of the most important players for the England. I see all the games from England, and Alan Ball was always the same guy, the same performer, the same attitude. So I think Alan Ball in that World Cup, for a while, he was recognized from this country and the rest of the world, a very good player. Not every single player was a special player, but the team had 3 or 4 excellent players. The other ones, they are so disciplined. They recognize the other ones are better, and they work so hard for the ones that are better than them. And this, it's part of the game. The England team at that time had quality. They are very strong together, and they deserve to win the World Cup.
When we came back and walked through the door, we wondered how 50 years had gone by. It was a touching moment to be back. We are happy because we are still alive and we could enjoy what we did in the past.
So I had the privilege to enjoy, to play against fantastic players in the perfect country, because the history of football is exactly here. It's not just a memory, it's more than that. It's life, it's football. So it's a very special moment to come here again.
Snods, what a lovely piece of film that was. I enjoyed that.
Great bit of footage, really was, to listen to 4 people, Portuguese internationals that have played at Goodison, and recollecting about the players as well. And he talks about England having 4 great players. The rest were disciplined and worked extremely hard. Similar to Leicester. When you look at Leicester's team, they've won our Premiership. They've got a few good players. They're disciplined. They work hard for each other, and they've been successful.
What a player Eusebio was, by the way.
Incredible player. I remember, obviously, I was a bit too young then. Pelé was the world #1, but Eusebio was the world #2 player. And everybody knew Eusebio were. And he's got my shirt, that's funny enough, Eusebio. He has. We played in a tournament in '88, and Benfica was in the tournament. There were 4 teams, 2 from Spain, Benfica and Everton. And I happened to wear the number 10 that day when we played Benfica, and he collected the number 10s from every other team. I played 10, I presented it to Eusebio, and now it's top of his pile. Snowden's number 10 shirt.
It will be above Pelé, Maradona, Zico, Ian Snowden. We're going to move things back to the present now and begin the countdown to Tim Howard's Everton farewell. We'll be hearing from the man himself later in this week's show, but for now, Phil Jagielka looks ahead to the Americans' final outing between the Goodison Park Sticks on Sunday.
Yeah, it's going to be an emotional day, I think. Obviously, him finding out he's going to get the last 2 home games was great for him. But, you know, ever since sort of the FA Cup game's been and gone, the season seems to have nearly gone with a blink of an eye. And, you know, you start to realise that some of my closest friends potentially won't be here next season. And obviously Tim being one. So it's going to be a difficult day, I think. You know, he's not as if he's going to be, you know, around the corner. I can pop in for a cup of tea or anything. Obviously, he's going back home, which, you know, we're all delighted for him. It's something he wanted to do, so it'll obviously give us all an excuse to go over to America and go and see him. But no, it'll be tough. You know, 9 years, a long time to have known and played football with someone, and like I say, it'll be an emotional day. There's a couple of others out there as well that might not get to play for Everton again, but hopefully geographically it'll be a little bit easier to see those guys. But it's going to be, you know, a difficult game, both obviously. Physically and obviously mentally as well, with what's coming up afterwards.
Can you summarise just what he has done here at Everton and what he stands for?
I think it'd be too hard for me to summarise in a quick sentence, but you know, he's just been a fantastic goalkeeper, a fantastic guy. He's he's wore the shirt with pride every single time he's played. Obviously, tremendous amount of clean sheets, tremendous amount of appearances. You know, big game player. You know, penalty shootouts and things like this. So, like I say, I'm glad that I've shared a lot of fond memories with Tim. Hope he's had a few decent ones as well with me, and I say it's going to be a bit of an emotional time after the game, but you know, wish him good luck with his future career, and I'm sure we'll catch up in the not so distant future.
And of course, with technology, you'll always be on the end of a text message, always on the end of a phone.
Yeah, definitely. That's obviously the one plus. You know, people retired and then went on many moons ago. You probably wouldn't see him ever again, but I'm sure we'll be seeing Tim pop up, if not on my TV, like I say, on my phone and things like that.
And of course, he could go on for another few years. Yeah, he signed a contract for 3.5 years. He's still got a lot of football in him.
Yeah, definitely. When he signed extra years here, no one really questioned it because the physical state is in, and obviously goalkeepers could potentially go on for a little bit longer. So I think that was the main point why he was probably so desperate to go back home. Is he didn't want to go back there and not be able to perform at the level he wants to. So he'll go back there. Colorado have got a fantastic goalkeeper, a great guy, and we'll all be Colorado fans now for the foreseeable future, and wish him all the best.
The lads are clearly going to miss Tim Howard-Snods. They've had with their final training session, or they'll have one on Saturday, and it'll be with David Unsworth and Joe Royle, which is probably just about right.
Yeah, perhaps it is. Big Joe, he's a legend at this club. Unzi, up and coming under-21 manager who's done really well with our under-21s, and I know Joe's in contact with Unzi every other day about the players going out on loan and stuff like that. So I think it's a perfect fit for him, and I'm sure Joe will really enjoy it, even if it is just for one game. You never know, but I'm sure in that technical area or in that manager's seat come kick-off time, he'll get the buzz again, Joe, and I'm sure they'll both be nervous, but I tell you what, great, it will be great for them. And can you imagine Unzi and Joe barking orders onto the boys? I can, really can.
The two of them have got in their locker to get right in amongst the lads, haven't they, and give the place a lift.
Yeah, it will give the place a lift, and also I think they'll give a couple of the kids a chance. Unzi's obviously worked with them all season. Joe knows with the capabilities, so it wouldn't surprise me if two of the kids will start on Sunday, and it'll be interesting, the team selection.
A lot of fans fancy us now, don't they, against Norwich?
They certainly do. But yeah, I think it'll be great for the fans. They're great for Joe and Unzi, and hopefully let's finish on a win.
Two Everton legends, Big Joe and the Rhino. That's it for part two, but don't go anywhere, because after a few adverts we'll have an exclusive full-length interview with our 1966 FA Cup final hero, Mike Trebilcock. Welcome back. Now, some of our mature viewers will struggle to comprehend that it's almost exactly 50 years since Everton came from 2 goals down to win the 1966 FA Cup final. Sheffield Wednesday were cruising, and some toffees in the Wembley crowd were beginning to question Harry Catterick's decision to select a young Cornishman called Mike Trebilcock ahead of the more experienced Fred Pickering. I tell you what, though, they didn't question it for long. Trebilcock came good to enjoy his finest hour, and he's the subject of this week's big interview.
Well, I walked into the dressing room, and my gear was there, and then the guy on my left, and then there's a guy on my right, and the guy on my left said, "I'm Alex," and I said, "How are you?" And the guy on the right said, "I'm Colin." I said, "How are you?" And then 2 days later, I said to Colin, "Where's the guy that was here?" And he said, "Oh, he's training with Scotland today," and that was Alex Young. And he never said, "I'm Alex Young." He just said, "I'm Alex," so.
Was it a good dressing room to walk into?
Fantastic. Absolutely brilliant. They were great. The only problem was, like, I was from Cornwall, right? So I'm going, you speak like that there, and then Gabby's going, "See you," and then Colin's going, "You're right, lad." And I'm going, like, what's all this about? You know what I mean?
Cosmopolitan.
And Jimmy Gabriel said to me one day, he says, "You don't say anything, do you?" I said, "No." He said, "You just sit there and smile, don't you?" I said, "Yeah, but I couldn't understand what they were saying, so it was better to just smile." And but they were fantastic. They were brilliant. And Brian LeBaum Labby was fantastic. Every morning, he'd come into the reserve dressing room first, and then he'd go to the senior dressing room. He'd come in and I was on a run of, I was scoring every week, and I think I scored 22 goals in 20 weeks in the reserves. And Labby used to come in the dressing room and says, "How'd you go, lads?" And they say 1-2-0. Say, well, who got the other one then? that was always our standard joke. But he was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
But of course, despite scoring all those goals, you still had a certain Fred Pickering ahead of you, didn't you?
Yeah, well, Fred was our hero. I mean, we were kids, and like Fred, when Fred walked into the room, you know, even though he had a cigarette in his hand, he was still he was Mr. Smooth, you know. So, like when he got injured, we were playing away, and when he got injured at Goodison, I think, he got taken off, and then we were going to play Man United in the semi-final, but 2 weeks later. So we just went, who's going to replace Fred Pickering? You know, I mean, nobody can, you know. And so we went down to Bolton. There was a squad of us, about 15, I think it was, and we're sitting around the table, had lunch. Harry Catrick gets his little playing field out, cardboard pitch and everything. Goes here, Westie's here, and Ray and Tommy and Alex, Jimmy, Colin, Derek Temple, and Alex Young, and Mike. Look.
An FA Cup semi-final.
Against Man United, you know, and I've only been here 4 months, you know, so. But that, I mean, the bigger story was, of course, when we went down to Wembley. I'll tell you about that in a minute. Go on.
When did you find out you were playing at Wembley?
Friday lunchtime.
That's been a weight off your mind to know that you were going to play.
Well, I didn't think about playing, you know, because they take a squad away and, like, you help out in the dressing room, you know. A player might want this or a player might want that. So they take 15 players away, so everybody, and somebody might get sick, you don't know. And there was no substitutes, so, you know, and we were sitting there having lunch. There was Andy Rankin, John Hurst, Colin Harvey, Tommy Wright, Jeff Barnett. All the young kids were together, sat there having lunch, and then Tommy Eggleston came over and says, Mike, he says, the boss wants to see you after lunch, you know. And John Hurst said, you must be playing, Trebs. And I said, no, I'm not playing, I'll just come down. Anyhow, there was what we thought was there was one place up for grabs, and that was Sandy Brown and Tommy Wright. And what I thought of was the boss wants me there to see what he says to Tommy, and, you know, I don't know what it was anyhow. And I walked into the room, and there was Tommy, Sandy, and Fred Pickering, and I couldn't figure out what Fred was doing there, because as far as we were concerned, it was all done and dusted. The only change was going to be Sandy, Tommy for Sandy. So the boss goes, at a time like this, he says, decisions have to be made, and I'm the one that's got to make them. He said, so Sandy, I'm leaving you out and putting Tommy in, which we all knew anyhow. And then he went, Fred, I'm leaving you out and putting Mike in. So there's such a thing as just about to fall off the chair. I just about fell off the chair. I mean, I've only been here 4 months now, and I'm going to play in a cup final. I mean, every schoolboy's dream in those days was to play in a cup final at Wembley and score the winning goal. I mean, every kid dreamt of those days. So I'm playing at Wembley, and I'm thinking, cup final, all I have to do is score the winning goal. You know. So
when we went 2-0 down, did you honestly think we've lost this here? We're going to have to come back in 12 months.
I wouldn't have come back at all. I mean, that would have been the end of me, I think, you know. But I remember exactly how it was. And it was our kickoff, so I stood in the middle of Wembley, very, very lonely and a long way from home, because I just replaced the England centre forward. And I knew that 40,000 Evertonians would say, Harry Catrick got it wrong, you know. So when I looked at the scoreboard, Sheffield Wednesday 2, Everton 0, looked at 100,000 people around, looked at the other end, Ron Springett, the England goalkeeper was there. I hadn't had a shot all day, you know. So like I say, I was very lonely. And then I just looked up at the sky and I said, why me, Lord, why me? And then 4 minutes later he says, that's why you, Trebs. In Royal Square.
What was going through your mind when you scored the equaliser? Can you remember? Can you possibly put it into words?
Yeah, I remember it. I'm going to tell you a little secret here. You're not going to believe it, but I'll tell you a little secret. When we got the free kick, Brian Harris came up and he said to me, get out of the way because the big guys are coming in, you know. So the ball, I went and stood on the edge of the box. And Labby came up and we knew the ball was going to go to the far post. I mean, that wasn't a problem. And so I looked at it and I stood on the edge of the box and I thought, that ball comes down, I'm just going to run, and wherever it comes, I'm going to smash it. And it just dropped right in my stride, right on the half volley. Couldn't have been sweeter. And when my childhood thing came back to me, get as much leather on leather as you can and hit the target. And then I saw Ron Springett's hat in the corner. I said, if I hit that hat, it's going to be a goal. You don't believe that, do you? But if you watch
it's a fairy tale. I'll believe anything, by the way.
If you watch the DVD, you'll see Ron Springett's hat go up in the air. Yeah, and I told a guy the other day, and he says, I don't believe that. I said, no, well, you'll never know whether it was true or not. But all it was hit the target. You know? And Jimmy Gabriel says to me, he says, I saw your eyes light up. He said, no, I just moved out the way because there was nothing going to stop it. It was just going to go, you know. But hit the target, that's the point.
You played for Plymouth Argyle, you left Everton and went to Portsmouth. You've been in Australia for a while now, but I can tell by the way you're attired today that you're still a Blue, Mike.
Oh, always being Evertonian. I mean, it was, once I put that blue shirt on, it was just like warmth, you know. And I mean, I had a great time in Liverpool in general. I mean, it was a swinging 60s, you know.
We don't see Mike Trebilcock at Goodison very often, Snods. He's over in Australia these days, but he's back at the moment in the UK, and he's a lovely guy, isn't he?
Yeah, very interesting. Great to hear him on about such players as Jimmy Gabriel, who took over caretaker manager when he was at the club, Colin Harvey, Brian LeBone, Tommy Wright. Yeah, you could listen to that all day. So, very interesting fella.
Must be great, mustn't it, to score 2 goals for Everton in an FA Cup final?
Don't come any better than that. Stuart McCall did it, but unfortunately, we were on the losing side. He's done it, and we won the trophy.
What was Jimmy Gabriel like, Snods?
I like Jimmy. He was my kind of manager as well. He were an hard player, and I got to know a lot about Jimmy's playing career. And then, unfortunately, when Colin got sacked, Jimmy got the caretaker job, and it was brilliant then. But he had a lot of faith in me, Jimmy. He made me captain for a spell as well, and I just wished we could have done something for Jimmy Gabriel. Great fella.
Yeah, I've met him a few times. He's a lovely man, and I also had the absolute privilege and pleasure of getting to know Brian LeBone, and we'd always see him around the place as well, wouldn't we?
Do you know what? As soon as I seen him and first met him, I knew who he was. Obviously, I just felt in awe of him. Big, imposing fella, but what a lovely fella as well. And the first time he met me, he made me feel so welcome to the club as a whole. And I thought you were a perfect ambassador for Everton Football Club.
And he'd have had some battles with your other 2 mates, wouldn't he? Bobby Collins and Billy Bremner.
He certainly would have. He certainly would have, because in them days, Billy Bremner used to tell us about the battles they used to have with Everton, Leeds United. And then when I came to the club, Howard and Colin used to tell me, and Jimmy, about the battles they used to have with Leeds United. So they got a lot of respect for each other, but they knew that they were in a game against each other, Leeds versus Everton, in them days.
It was interesting, Mike Trebilcock saying he walked into a dressing room with Alex Young and Colin Harvey and Brian LeBone, people like that. In a similar sort of way, it was the same for you, wasn't it? You were captain of Leeds United, but it was still a step up to walk into that dressing room at Belfield.
I felt in awe, I really did. Even though I was coming from a lesser division, one division below, Leeds United were a big club. I was captain of the club. I was perhaps one of the better players at Leeds, but when I walked into the Everton dressing room and saw the calibre of Sharps, Trevor Stephen, Sheedy, Ratcliffe, Reid, the list was endless. And I thought, wow, I'm not even going to get in this team. Whereas I'm probably first choice at Leeds United, but like probably 12th choice here at Everton. So it just shows that no matter how good you think you are, there's better players than you about.
Did you ever think in those early days, what have I done here?
No, I didn't. Because the minute I signed for the club, I knew that the lads respected me as a person for choosing Everton Football Club to start with. But I think they soon thought as well, hey, he's one of us, him. He's a good lad. He mixes in the dressing room. And I just felt that when I first met the lads and I met the manager, the late, great Howard Kendall, I thought, this is the club I want to be at. And here we are, still sat on the settee and delighted.
Still an Evertonian. Once a Blue, always a Blue. And that's it for part 3. In the final segment of this week's show, we'll reveal the new home kit for next season, and we'll start the countdown to the very last appearance in an Everton jersey of Tim Howard. Welcome back to the fourth and final part of this week's programme. Now, one of the most eagerly awaited days in any football supporter's calendar is when the new kit for the following season is revealed. Evertonians are no different, and this is what the players will be wearing at Goodison Park for the 2016-17 campaign.
I was born and brought up in Killybegs, a fishing town in County Donegal.
I was born in Germany.
The first team I played for was called St Catherine's in Killybegs, my hometown.
Leaving home in Berlin to sign for Hamburg was difficult for me.
I signed for Sligo Rovers when I was 17.
When people ask me why I play for Bosnia, it is because I have that family connection.
I joined Blackpool on loan and had the privilege of playing at Wembley.
I left Hamburg to play for Ferencváros in Budapest, Hungary. When I play here in Goodison Park, I feel home.
Snods, what do you make of the new kit?
Yeah, quite like that. It's quite nice. Used to be good when the new kits come out and all the players were like that or wonder what the new kit's like. But me being the good-looking lad I am, they always got me to model them, Daz. So, yeah, extra pressure on me in them days.
Wasn't as complicated as that piece of film, though,
No,
was
they
it?
certainly weren't. We just stood there with it on, quick picture and off you go. But looks nice.
We're about to hear from Tim Howard, Snods. What a contribution he's made to Everton Football Club, by the way.
Yeah, fantastic. Great lad as well. He's been a great keeper. I know one or two people have questioned him recently, but he's had 10 unbelievable years at Everton Football Club, and you can't say enough about him. Pleasure to know him.
Great ambassador for Everton Football Club is Tim Howard, and nobody has appeared for the club in more Premier League games than Tim. When the American trots out at Goodison Park against Norwich City this weekend, it will be his 354th top-flight game for the Toffees. It will be his 414th in total, and only 12 men in the history of the club have played more. That's a terrific record of consistency, and the man himself is a touch emotional at the prospect of walking out one more time.
I'd be lying if I said I haven't already thought about it, but again, I'll probably do all the same things I usually do, and try and savor every moment. You know, obviously focus on the game and Norwich and getting that victory, which you always do when you pull that shirt on. But yeah, it'll be bittersweet.
You say savour it. Will it be a case of just trying to enjoy it as much as you can and looking around, taking it all in? And
yeah, like? It's hard though because I'm a competitor, you know, and so the game for me it's not, you know, I don't think I've ever crossed the line and thought, oh, this is a jolly up. It's still a game. It's still important, and so, you know, I'm sure during it all, you know, the finality of it will hit me. But again, I'm hoping that you know, I can end on a high note.
So how do you think you'll feel when you walk out? You've done the run up, the warm up. You're walking towards the Gladys Street goal for the 414th appearance for Everton.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know exactly what that's gonna feel like. You know, I hope it'll feel like the other 413. So. I try again. I keep pulling myself away from it, trying not to think about it being the last.
But when you're talking about this, and you can't help but have a smile on your face, can you? When you think about it?
I mean, I'm a lucky man. My time at Everton has been special. It's been great. It's been rewarding and fulfilling, and it's been 1,000 different things. You know, from the people who work inside the training ground, people who work at Goodison, you know, my relationship with the fans, my relationship with all of my teammates, both managers that I've served under and their backroom staff. It's like, you know, I sometimes have to pinch myself thinking, how did I get to be so lucky playing for this great club?
How did you feel, Tim, when you was told you'd be playing in these last two home games?
Yeah, you know, I was excited. You know, I push myself in training. I'm always trying to do the right things, and you know, as a player, you just want to get the opportunity. That's what we're all striving for. So, you know, I was delighted to know that, you know, I'll be pulling that shirt on again a few more times.
Tim Howard-Snods was somebody else who got Everton straight away.
He certainly did, and you can hear him talking there passionately, emotionally, and it's going to be a big day for him on Sunday. It sure is, and I'm sure he will get one unbelievable reception off them Evertonians. Perhaps after the game, I think it might be all about Tim Howard as well, because he's given 10 years of his life to, as he says, a great club. And I watched him train the other day, you know, and I bet he trained as hard the other day as he did when the first day he arrived at the club. It's the kind of person he is, and yeah, he will be sadly missed around Finch Farm and at Goodison Park.
He's been terrific with Joel Robles since Joel took his place, and that just sums the man up.
I wouldn't expect anything else. It's competition. They call it the Goalkeepers Union, but I'm sure Joel's thanked him for his experience, his knowledge and his help. And yeah, I don't expect anything else off this fella.
What I liked about Tim is that he could have just stayed at Manchester United and picked his money up, but he wanted to play football. He wanted to take the gamble and come to Everton Football Club.
Yeah, when you're talking about Everton Football Club, it ain't a gamble. It really ain't. Tim came, open arms. We took to him, he took to us, and as we say, he's emotional. He really was in that interview, and I'm sure on Sunday there'll be a few tears from Tim Howard.
I'm sure there will be. Well, here's a really nice, heartwarming piece of film. Graham Sharp was out and about recently to visit a very special Evertonian. He went to visit a chap who was celebrating his 100th birthday and who can remember watching the great Dixie Dean in action for Everton. And it doesn't stop there. This chap's name, believe it or not, is Mr. John Everton. This is when Sharpie went to meet the Centurion. That is Mr. Everton.
We're here to see a mad Evertonian who's celebrating his 100th birthday, would you believe, and he's fantastic. We're looking forward to hearing some stories about him. He's obviously seen Dixie Dean, and so I'm looking to go in there now and speak to him, and he'll be able to tell me a few things about Everton Football Club. So really looking forward to it. 100 years old, 100 years of age. What a fantastic achievement. Let's go and hear some stories. Hi John, how are you doing?
Hello.
Pleased to meet you. Pleased to meet you. Pleased to meet you. How are you doing? Okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we've got something for you here. We thought we've got an Everton shirt here.
Oh,
With Everton 100, yeah?
Yeah.
So there's something for you. Congratulations.
John, we're here to celebrate your father's birthday today. How much does this mean to him?
The world. Lifelong Evertonian. First game, I believe, in 1925, round about Easter. Would have been 9 then, and would still like to go. A very modest man who doesn't want any fuss, but I think he enjoys it.
And in the meantime, I got on a tram as near as I could to Goodison Park, but I got there, and when I got there, there were about 50,000 people inside waiting for the team to come back. So I remember that.
Graham Sharp here today. There's a letter from the Queen on the way. Where does this one rank in terms of that?
Graham Sharp was a surprise. You know you're entitled to something from Her Majesty, and Dad's had 3 now, but all important. It's been a target achieved.
Well, really, it's been a pleasure to meet you. It's been absolutely fantastic, and hopefully next year we'll see you in the summer at one of the games early on.
That's very kind of you.
Well, what an afternoon that was. It was fantastic to meet up with John Everton, 100 years of age. Fantastic memories. You know, still sharp as a button. You know, talking about Dixie in the game where he scored his 60th goal. He could actually remember the referee's name, which is incredible. So really enlightening afternoon. Great to speak to Evertonians, but obviously an Evertonian with the memories he has been first class. We wish him a happy 100th birthday and hopefully see him next year at Goodison Park.
With a name like John Everton, he was never going to support anybody else, but 100 years of age, in great nick.
He is in great nick as well, and you hear it a lot when you sign for Everton about the great Dixie Dean, the statues out there as well, but to have actually watched him live and score goals must be brilliant. But for a 100-year-old, I tell you what, he looks really well, and To remember the referee's name? I can't remember the referee from last week, Darren, to be honest.
Yes, a very happy birthday to John Everton. And that's it for another Everton show. We hope you enjoyed our 2 1966 features this week. And as you can see from the Academy Goal of the Season competition, there's no shortage of talent beneath the first team surface. My thanks to Snods for joining us this week. Thanks to you for watching. It may well be the last game of the season on Sunday, but we'll still be back with another Everton show next week. Thanks for your company.